Hello, hello, hello. What a delight for you to be on this channel right now. It's been amazing. It's simply been amazing. Woman Without Limits, it's really impacting lives, and that's my joy because that's the reason why we bring this program to your life. I totally believe that nothing in this life can stop you, but you're so powerful that you're able to stop yourself. Hear me. You need to understand the power of that. Because sometimes you can hear me sounding like a broken record, literally, saying over and over again that you're the only one who can stop yourself. And you think, how? How am I stopping myself? Well, if you are struggling with perhaps insecurity, this is just one of the things, and you allow it to continue in your life, you're now in your 30s, in your 40s, you're still talking about, the trauma of childhood, the drama I went through, the stuff. Listen, you can actually disengage from life. Do you understand me? Like you can stop yourself from becoming all you are created to become, not knowing that even that background is a part of the story. I'm telling you, there is nothing that just happens to a human being. Everything becomes something that we can actually use to catapult us to greatness. Every person that has a story came from somewhere. That's why they say, tell me the story before I see the glory, because I can see the glory, it's obvious, but there must be a story. In fact, the bigger the glory, the more the story. And that's why we tell these stories. We don't tell these stories just to hype you up and to make you see, somebody was beaten. So after they were beaten, then after that, how is it building me up? We bring Woman Without Limits to let you know that those obstacles can come out of your way and you can become everything you are created to become. For me, once I achieve that in your life, I got you. I'm here for you. That's all I need to ensure that you're becoming who you are created to become. This is Woman Without Limits, and I am Lady Bishop Kathy Kiuna. Today, we have an amazing story. Oh my gosh. From a hilarious man. He tells his story like no other. He's so funny even while he's telling it. Pastor Andrew Mwangi.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
It is so good to have you, my son.
It's a wonderful feeling to be here.
And we've walked a mighty long journey together.
26 years.
26 years, my goodness. Listen, 26 years is how old Jubilee Christian Church, our church, is.
Yes.
And we've worked with this young man from that time until now. He came to us as a young man, and we have seen him go far in life. And Pastor Andrew, before we talk about, our meeting and how you became my son, literally staying in my house.
What a wonderful experience that was.
I want us, because that will come somewhere in the end,
Yes.
somewhere in our story.
It should come in somewhere.
It should come in somewhere.
Yeah.
I want us to know about Pastor Andrew. People know you from all over. Now you're going all over the globe ministering the gospel. But I want you to tell us, who is Pastor Andrew? Where are you coming from? Where did you grow up?
So my real name is Mwangi Joroge.
Wow.
So I grew up in a family where we didn't have English names. So my sisters would be called Nyokafiwa Joroge, Modoniwa Joroge, Mwagiwa Joroge.
You mean it?
We didn't have English names.
Okay.
Until now we got to class 8 and we had to add a baptism name to get our index numbers to do class 8.
You couldn't get them with just
we were told that 2 names were insufficient.
Oh.
You needed to include a baptismal name.
Right.
So I was named after my paternal grandfather, who was called Elijah Mwangi. And the young me thought Elijah doesn't sound like a name I want to take up. It sounded so spiritual. It sounded so like Wagedhomo.
Yeah.
But look who ended up being a pastor. So I remember going to my father and I lied. My kids laugh at me and they tell me, Dad, you were such a rebellious boy. because I cooked up a story.
Yeah.
I told my dad, Fafa, is it okay if I don't take up Elijah as my first name?
Yeah.
He asked me why. I told him there was a boy in our class who is called Johanna, but he dropped the name.
Eh.
So can I also drop Elijah?
and take
He told
on.
me, yeah, that's okay. So it took me some time to go through a list of names. Which name do I want? Do I want Alexander? Do I want Alex? Do I want Andrew? And finally, I settled at Andrew.
You chose the name yourself.
Yes, my kids laugh at me because I gave myself a name.
Are you serious?
I think that is how independent-minded I was.
How did you think of Andrew?
I don't know. I think it sounded nice.
You just liked it?
Yes.
Okay.
So now I'm Andrew Mwangi Njoroge.
Right.
I was born in 1977. I wanted to say I was born in the year 19, mind your own business.
Yeah.
Then I thought that
you're on air and you're being
I'm
watched
meant
all
to be
over the
spiritual.
globe. You
So I
need
was
to
born
be
in
serious.
1977
Right.
in Nakuru to a wonderful couple, Njoroge Mwangi
Right.
and Njoki Waweru.
Okay. Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have 4 sisters and 1 brother.
And are you the firstborn?
No, I'm the third born.
Oh, you're the third born.
Yeah.
So it starts with who? Sisters, brothers?
2 sisters
Yeah.
and then myself, and then a sister, and then a brother, and then a sister.
Oh, so you're actually 6?
Yes, we are 6. I grew up in a house full of girls.
Somehow, I don't know why I thought you were 4. Okay. I guess I just mixed up.
Yes. 4 girls in the house.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing kati, dama, you know, blada, all those girlish games.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Because they were older than you.
They were older than me.
Yes. How was that? What, did you fight? Did you have sibling rivalry?
Of course, when I was a much younger kid, they would discipline me, my older sisters. We used to call it wokoma. They would koma me, you know, especially when your sister is bigger than you.
Yeah.
They can do this on your head.
Yeah.
But of course, as I grew older, I had to assert my authority. And that's when maybe you may hear of sibling rivalry in a house.
Right.
Where maybe the boy is trying to assert his authority.
Right.
Yeah.
What school did you go to?
So I went to a school called Molo Academy. So it was not far from where we lived. And it was a wonderful experience for me because it shaped much of who I was to become later on in life. So it was partly day school and boarding. And for some time we were in day school.
Yeah.
And at some point we had to join boarding because it was mandatory.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us what your childhood was like before we get on to how school was, whether you were bullied, did you bully, and stuff like that. How was your growing up like? Was there drama there?
Lots of drama.
Tell me about
I
the
grew up
drama.
in a chaotic, dysfunctional home. Now, if I could back up a little bit, my parents met in the 1970s.
Okay.
And they actually eloped.
Hey.
It was the scenario where a young man
Meet a young woman.
goes to visit his classmate's friend.
Right.
And he meets his sister in their home.
The classmate's sister.
Yes.
Eh.
It's like machali wawili organizing, like when your brother would organize for his friend to get you. So that was the scenario.
Yeah, mine was organizing to beat them to stay away from the sisters.
Yeah, so my dad and my maternal uncle were in the same school. And then during the holidays, they went to visit my maternal grandparents' home.
Yeah.
And that's how my dad got to meet my mom. And there was chemistry between them.
Yeah.
And they decided it was too much, they had to elope. So they took off.
The two of them?
Yes.
When they were young?
Yes, when they were young. They took off and they started life together in the 1970s.
Wow.
And they were serious about business, about life.
Yeah.
They really worked hard, worked smart. In the 1970s, they had a transport business. They had trucks on the road.
Both of them?
Both of them, young as they were.
Yeah.
My dad was now investing into real estate. And he was still holding on to his day job as a manager in a very prominent company.
Right.
So my mom was the one left to handle family business, to do banking and all that.
Wow.
So by the time I was being born, I was born into a relatively well-off family.
Yeah.
You can imagine in the early 80s living in a house where you're bathing in a bathtub. There is telephone in the house.
Okay.
There are vehicles in the home.
Right.
We are going to a good school.
Yeah.
My desk mate was a blonde girl, white girl.
Hello.
Our teacher was Asian. The president had his family in the school. So in our own classroom, you could tell that's an MP son, that's
The president's son.
yes, that's, you know, grandson, because
Yeah.
Moi was much older.
Right.
So, but the unfortunate thing is that while we were living comfortably, there was chaos and violence at home.
Oh.
And it all started when my dad later on narrates.
Yeah.
He says him and his drinking buddies
Yeah.
were in town, and this beautiful yellow comes into town. I tell you, I had a problem with yellows for a long time. God had to deliver me. And I ended up marrying a yellow myself. So to speak.
Eventually.
Yes.
But tell us, so he met this girl?
So they compete. They said, let's compete and see who will take her home. And unfortunately, where I come from, we don't lose such competitions.
Oh, Jesus.
So
Lord have mercy.
My dad won the competition. But you know, there are some competitions you lose by winning.
Yes. Yes.
So he won the competition.
Yeah.
Took the woman home. She had her own children that were much older. So
was she older than your dad?
older than my dad, older than my mom by years.
Please tell me you're joking.
So at that time...
No, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. You're going too fast. Tell me you're joking.
Yeah, much older than us. They really bullied us in our own home.
The kids were older.
Much older.
The girl was older than your dad.
Yes.
But took him nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
Because they were competing amongst men.
Yes.
Who is who?
Yes. So what happened
He
was...
took her home where?
So let me explain. So what
Yes.
happened was, my dad started missing in action at home. So while we are living in this big home surrounded by an orchard, in a neighborhood with white neighbors, from the outside you'd imagine we were living in opulence.
Yeah.
And that we were, but you may have thought we were living in joy.
In joy.
Yes.
Full of God. And
But there were times there was no food in the house because our father is not at home. So there's no food in the house, there's nothing to eat, but we're living in a big, beautiful home. And my mom couldn't take it lying down. So I remember as a child, vividly, I remember her taking a kikapu, a bag, and putting a panga inside, a machete.
Inside the bag?
Yes. It's about to get down.
It's going down.
So I remember asking her, Mommy, where do you go? Mom, where are you going?
Yeah.
And I remember her looking over her shoulders as she was walking towards the gate.
Right.
And she told me, Kwa Dego. As a child, I didn't know who Dego was, what business he had with our family.
Right.
But my mom told me Kwa Dego. Later on, I was to learn, Kwa Dego means it's none of your business. Mind your business.
Mind your business.
Kumbe, she's just discovered where my dad is holed up with the yellow.
Hey.
And she's going to act Afro cinema. So,
I'm so sorry.
So that's the bit.
I'm so sorry, but it sounds so funny.
Yeah.
What?
So that's the bit I saw.
Hey.
Now the rest of the story is what I got to hear from kids in school.
The kids in school knew?
They now had to tell me the rest of the story that was acted in town. It was like a movie. One scene is being acted in our home. The other part is being acted on the streets of our town.
What?
So in school...
When she now took that panga?
Yes. So in school, I was very good in Mchongoano.
Yeah.
Man, to this day, I still love Mchongoano.
Explain Mchongoano.
Your mama jokes. You know, your mama is so fat, you know. That when she's walking backward, it's like a truck reversing. She goes, tee, 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 back in the day.
And you know, if you want a boy to get mad,
yes,
mention their mom.
So we were so big on your mama jokes.
Yes.
But now they knew my mom. And that's how they used to silence me. Because now in school, when we are doing your mama jokes, the kids now would start telling me, your mama. And what really hurt me was that theirs was a real life occurrence.
They are telling you something that's happening.
It was not something fictitious. And you know, like the older age goes,
of course,
the truth
mama
hurts.
jokes normally are really jokes.
Yes.
But now they are real.
They are real now.
They are telling you, what are they telling you?
Now that really ate into my self-esteem. Because now, eventually I got to know, my mom finally locates where my dad is. She has been told where my dad is with the other woman. Like they would say in Swahili, duru la kuaminika. He has learned from reliable sources where my father is.
Inaitwa duru la kuaminika.
Duru la kuaminika, reliable resources.
Have told her exactly where he is.
Yes, so she's going there to act out.
To
and
cause havoc.
if it was on TV, Swahili News, 7 p.m., they would say something like, taharuki ikatanda, zogo na sintofahamu, kasheshe na, I don't know what else they would say. Because my mom now doesn't knock the door. Anapita na mlango.
Stop, you're joking.
And remember, by the way, the house the other woman is living in is near the post office. Now, common geography tells you, in many towns, the post office is smack in the middle of town.
Stop.
So the drama is unfolding in town. Because her house is behind the post office.
She has gone with her drama there.
With a panga in the air.
To show who is who.
I don't know, ma'am, whether you ever heard the song in the 90s. Back, coming in a double attack, step back. Here comes the shark attack. Now, Nyina Mwangi is about to act out that song.
The shark attack.
Akapita na mlango, is a shark attack. With the panga in the air. Amatemagi amaikie gunia, you know.
She's ready to put them in that box.
But of course, she was petite and she got overpowered. They wrestled the panga from her. So the batter spills onto the streets.
Oh, God.
My mom takes a huge stone, smashes the windscreen of my father's car as the town is watching. You see, what you see on social media?
Lord,
I grew up with that in the house. So my mom smashes the windscreen, insulting unprintables. Yeah, so my dad can't take any more of it. He starts chasing after my mom.
But he chases also.
In town. And you know, back in the day, it was fashionable for men to be plump, to even have an utambi.
Yes.
I mean, I think that was their weird idea
of rich wealth.
Yes.
Even my grandfather, I know what you're saying.
Yes, so as a woman, if your husband didn't have an utambi, it didn't seem like you're taking
like you are really rich. Like
so
you are not rich.
So while my mom was petite, my dad wasn't. He was stocky. And so he tried to run after my mom. My mom would take off. I would imagine akipiga corner, you know the way the elbow can touch the back of the ear as you're going round the bend.
And it's in
it's in town. So my dad says I can't catch up, so he enters the car. So vroom, chases after my
with
mom.
the car.
It's fast and furious. She's on I don't know what. Between my parents.
What?
So he chases my mom, gets me her screeches to a whole before he can open the door. My mom disappears.
Jesus
So
Christ.
that's how it gets silenced in school. You, your mom and dad.
Your mama ako na mbio. That's what they would
So by the time my dad would come in the evening, the war that would be there.
Oh.
So I remember my mom
Because now your dad would finally come to your house.
Finally he would.
And find your mother there.
Yes. So I remember now my mom had to run to our bedroom. So we had several bedrooms, but because you were young, at times we would huddle in one room.
Yeah.
So I remember mom coming to our room.
Are you scared?
Very scared, trembling. She would enter the bed with us and she's trying to calm us down. Guys, get relaxed. But you know, I couldn't fault my mom because she was fighting for her tough.
And especially that they had eloped.
Yes.
And then on top of eloping, they had made it together.
Yes.
They had started the businesses
together. So she
together.
really had to defend her territory.
Right.
But as we may see later on, I was not aware, but I came to learn later on that my mom also may have had some underlying issues that may have affected their marriage.
Okay.
Or maybe pushed my father away.
Okay, and we are going to talk about that in a bit, Pastor Andrew.
So my mom comes to our bed.
Yeah.
My dad is pounding on the door with the hammer.
On your door?
For years, there were marks of that hammer on the door. Mutihigore, open up the door. So he's telling us to open up the door so he can pound our mom to smithereens.
Right.
Who would do that?
No, you would know.
So our mom would push furniture against the door and would help her push.
Yeah.
So we are pushing cabinets against the door.
And you're little.
And he's asking us from the other side, are you opening? Then we say, yes. We have to learn to lie very early to survive.
And you're pushing.
Yeah. At some point, he had to take the person living in the servants' quarter to come remove the grill from the window.
Right.
For my mom to run to DLR for safety.
Right.
So all that persisted in town, at home. And at some point now, my mom now had to go to live in one of our farms. Back in the day, when you didn't seem to be in agreement with your wife, you would take her from your townhouse to your farmhouse and have her live there as you stay with your chosen woman in town.
In town.
That is what happened.
So your main wife would be somewhere in a farm.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's what they used to say, "Uteo kutupwa."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not divorced.
Yeah.
But you're
just there.
On the side.
You're just there.
Yeah.
So this is the main person.
So that's the main person. So that is what happened. And for some time, there was peace and quiet.
Right.
But again, the drama continued now with the second woman. So my dad again would quarrel with this other woman. And because she had come in and acting so nice, she would make for us sweaters. When they would fight, I remember one night, she would demand we remove the sweaters. In the cold.
Because she's on
remove those sweaters. So me and my young siblings were removing our sweaters and giving them back.
Oh.
I mean, it was just chaotic.
How mean is that?
It was so mean.
Like they're fighting with your father, so the kids must also be in it.
And now her kids were bullying us. I mean, it was just chaotic.
She had how many kids?
2 older than us.
And they would bully you?
Very much. Very much.
Would they beat you up?
And abuse. Oh, I remember the boy, because it was one girl and one boy, chasing me around in the neighborhood with a stone. And he was much older than me.
Yeah.
So because now my mom left when I was in nursery school.
Yeah.
I was around 6 years old.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Are you serious?
And I still had younger siblings.
Are you serious?
So I learned to survive without my mother since I was in nursery class. Because then we'd see her twice a year or thrice a year because she's been banished from home. And she doesn't have the means to visit us, and she can't come to that home. And I remember when she would manage to come to town to meet us, would meet in a hotel secretly, and then we wouldn't eat anything because she doesn't have money to buy the sausage we can see. So we're just looking at other people eating sausages and eggs. And so we just sit there.
It's not like you would get anything from your father. He's not giving you money.
But we were well taken care of.
You're well taken care of. But
yes, but my mom isn't. So I remember that I even had younger siblings who now maybe suffered much more than I did.
Because now you're a little boy.
I'm a little
and you
boy
can see
in nursery.
all this.
So my sister was 3 years my junior.
Yeah.
So she was left when she was 3 years old. I was left when I was 6 years old. And now we had to grow. Now we were stepmother.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who she was. I thought she was our grandma or one of our grandmas.
Your stepmother?
What does a nursery kid know?
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Because you're 6 and you're seeing these 2 people, you know your mother and you know your father.
Yeah. So they would also fight, and then at times would come home and she has swept the whole house clean. I mean, there are no stuff in the house. She's taken.
There are dramas everywhere.
You need to understand that at times we judge our fathers not knowing that they are a product of the parenting they went through. Yeah. Somebody said that we are all being raised up by our grandparents. Yeah. Because our grandparents raised our parents and our parents are raising up.
Yes, but
so you're basically being raised up by
a grandparent. I remember a lot of times when my mother would beat us to smithereens and she would say she's doing what she saw her mother do, and that's all the upbringing she knows.
Yeah.
So as a parent, you must do better.
You must do better. So that you can stop perpetuating that generational dysfunction.
Exactly.
So the way my dad would beat my mom is the way his dad would beat
his mother.
His mom. So his mom, my shosho, we were very close. She helped me love reading the Bible.
Right.
She had missing teeth. And I'd ask her, shosho, what happened to your teeth? And because I was named after her husband, she would ask me, you removed my teeth, then ask me where they went to. So she was imputing that wrong on me, but humorously. But she meant that the one I'm named after her husband
removed her teeth.
Yeah.
By beating.
By beating. And he was also polygamous. So he would send my uncles to chase after the other woman who was younger to grab a hold of her so he can follow behind and beat her up. So my dad came from such a dysfunctional
so it's from one dysfunction to another dysfunction.
Yes.
So now you are in your stepmother's house.
Really? She's in her house.
Oh, she's in your house because you're in your father's house.
Yes.
So she's there.
Yes.
And she's mistreating you, like she's getting your sweaters. She's what? So they're fighting also the same way.
They're also fighting. It wasn't an easy ride for both of them. Wow. It actually got uglier.
Yeah.
To a point where now she wanted to burn my father alive.
But you're joking.
So one time my dad is coming from the bathroom and she's waiting outside the door. She poured paraffin on him.
Why?
Before she could,
Light
the match.
Hey.
My dad, of course, overpowered her and
But he poured.
lived to tell the story.
Hey. She poured paraffin on him.
Yeah.
Ready
So you
to
see,
finish
my
him.
mom could have endured the masculine toxicity.
Yeah.
But she was not ready to endure. She came from Nyeri.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
we need not say more.
This other woman
Yes.
had come from Nyeri.
Yes.
And she was showing him, we don't take this.
Yeah. So she really fought back. So long story short,
So
what
even-
had happened for her to do that?
So hold on before you get to that. Even after pouring the paraffin on him, he still didn't chase her or anything.
She would keep going and coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason she was doing that is because she had just learned that my father had officiated his marriage to my mother. Watch this, 15 years almost after she had been kicked out of her matrimonial home.
Your father went and officiated.
So he's being remorseful now. He's trying, he has seen he made a mistake.
Yeah.
So he's trying to right his wrongs. So he decides, well, I'm going to do an official wedding and legitimize my relationship with my wife that I sent off.
The wife of my youth.
Yes, that I sent off to the farm to live alone.
Right.
Yes. Maybe even to safeguard property and all that.
Okay.
So she just learned about it and that's why now she was acting out.
She now lost her cool.
She lost her cool.
Will the two women meet?
Oh, ma'am, they would meet in town and fight
Eh?
in my presence.
The two of them?
I was so scared. So you see, I was a sickly boy.
Yeah.
Because we grew up in a very cold area. So I was a sickly boy and I would be in and out of hospital, even hospitalized at times. So now that my mom has left, who is to take me to hospital? She's the one to take me to hospital. So, but I remember before that, my mom was taking me from hospital. And my dad was this typical African man who has a day job and a hustle on the side. So he had a store car in town. And he's a manager now in a company. So that is his side hustle.
Yeah.
So he had employed his uncle to be selling the charcoal
For him. Yeah.
in bags.
Yeah, a side
as a
business.
supplier,
Yeah.
So my mom would pass by there to get her weekly rations maybe, and so would the other woman. So one of those Afro cinemas happened in that setting, where they were both going there
To
and
get their charcoal.
So I'm with my mom and my uncle, and as we are together now in town, right by the main street of town, I hear my mom and my uncle tell each other, here comes the devil. So I'm a small boy, I'm looking into the crowds, I'm looking for the devil, I can't see the devil. You'd imagine a devil maybe is
with horns and
he's color
weird.
green, he has red eyes, he has red, horns, and I can't see anything like that. Kumbe it's the other woman coming. Wow. My mom dashed inside the store car. It's about to get down. She
In the city?
In the city. She filled the debe, she filled the tin container with the soot. Charcoal has, that like milk has milk powder.
The powder,
Charcoal has powder as well. The black one,
Yeah.
filled it up in the debe.
With the
And stood behind the door like this. You remember Tom and Jerry? The way Tom would hide behind the door with a pan, waiting to flatten Jerry. So now that's my mom. She stood behind the door with the debe like
So
this.
this has no idea what's about to.
So the yellow comes asking, Meha makara makwa. Where's my charcoal? I'm a kid. I saw it happening. Sema kuvalishwa kama kofia.
No way.
My mom balishad her like a kofia. So the suit is going down her yellow skin.
Jesus.
Then she took a madirefu. She took a huge plank of wood. Started beating the daylights out of her.
Stop.
There is no embarrassment like having makangas cheering your mom in a fight.
They were cheering.
Uwa malaya, piga malaya. Crowds are gathering. So I'm a kid. wondering what's going on. Meanwhile, my father's office is right there. So he can see everything happening.
They're saying, kill,
His office
kill.
is somewhere upstairs, so he can see the drama.
Are you traumatized?
So finally, she was able to remove and also take the wood and start giving my mom some.
But she started returning.
So instead of
also.
my uncle stopping the fight, it's like he's enjoying. Until later on, he says, now you will stop. Wow. So
After he has watched the Afro.
and that's just part of what I saw.
After he has watched the Afro cinema.
Yeah.
Then after a while now he says,
So I grew up in such a chaotic environment. Not only that, my uncles, my cousins would beat their spouses. We would go visit my cousin and there would be blood in his house because he beat up his wife badly.
Stop.
You hear another relative beat up the pregnant wife and killed her.
What?
Yeah. Another nephew killed a woman and cut her into pieces.
Aye.
So there are times I would enter the house like this and I find some of my relatives' wives in the house. I'm wondering, what happened? And my dad would ask them, oh, they've been beaten up, all of them. Maybe the woman and the kids have been chased.
And
so
your
my dad would
saying,
be left arbitrating. So as a young man, I'm wondering now, who's arbitrating?
Who's arbitrating? The one who also does the same.
What's really going on?
Yeah.
So as a teenager,
Yeah.
I had already vowed I'd never get married. If this is what marriage is,
You had said
I'd
you'll
never get married. But thankfully, I got born again.
Oh, man. Oh, man. So before we get to born again, and I love that as we are moving on, what about your brother? Because you have one brother at this time.
Yes.
And 4 sisters.
Yes.
So your brother is younger than you.
Yes.
Is he seeing this drama?
They are all seeing it,
Yeah.
and they are all being dented for life.
Jesus.
Why not for the intervention of Jesus in some of our lives? You know what happened is something called vicarious learning.
Yeah.
You start learning about life by watching even bad examples.
Yeah.
And if you don't individuate,
Yeah.
there is what is called individuating.
Yeah.
There is what is called self-differentiation.
Right.
If you don't self-differentiate
Yeah.
and start seeing yourself as an individual separate from what you saw, you begin to emulate what you saw.
And you become exactly like it, if not worse.
So 3 things happen in the lives of such children. Number 1, they vow they will never get married.
Which
like
you
some
vowed.
of my sisters vowed they'll never get married. I vowed I would never get married, but Jesus came into my heart and changed my perspective in life and started showing me that a happy marriage was a possibility.
Yeah.
But some of my sisters who never perhaps got to walk with Christ, the vow is still in place.
Yeah.
My brother became a junkie. You need to understand that family dysfunctions are a family disease. Dysfunction in one member causes the entire family to be deceased.
Please tell
So
us,
when you
what
see
do
people
mean?
on drugs, don't rush to judge them. They may have grown up in a turbulent, chaotic, dysfunctional home that their drug abuse became their go-to coping mechanism.
Hey.
You shouldn't blame people.
Because they ran into something bad to soothe themselves.
Yeah. You see women with children from different fathers, don't judge them. They said, I never want to get married, but I want children. So their attachment to men is nothing
Touch
more
and
than
get a child, run.
Get a child and run.
Don't stay with these people. They are bad.
Yeah.
So they have a default mechanism.
So some of my sisters really never got married, and I thank God we love them and they're blessed. They live in their own homes.
Do they have children?
They have children, and by God's grace, they don't rent houses. My dad has built them houses. They even collect rent. They live in their own homes.
Yeah.
Even minus a husband. Except now my last born sister, who is an usher in JCC.
Oh.
It matters the church
God.
you go to.
Yeah.
Because that's where you go through a paradigm shift.
So tell me, Pastor Andrew, as we speak on, and I know somebody's getting dangerously blessed, you know, because somebody is in that predicament as we speak.
Yeah.
Their parents are fighting, and I want us to talk about, before we get on to your other part of the story, the effects
Wow.
it has on children.
Wow.
Because people fight
Enormous.
and they neglect their kids.
I start by saying to men, anytime you slap your wife once, you have slapped your kids 10 times. Because the impact on them will stay with them for life. I can't explain how helpless a boy feels seeing the mom they adore being beaten, and you can't help. I went through that.
Helpless.
Yes. So when you see men beating their wives, it is because their mothers were beaten, and in their psyche they're saying, I must beat somebody else's mother as well. So 3 things happen when they grow up in such environments. Number 1, they decide never to get married.
Yeah.
Number 2, they decide I will get married, but I will also unleash violence. My mother was beaten, was too big in beating somebody else's mother.
The women are like that.
And women also grow up thinking, because your father is your first image of a man.
Yes.
The first definition of a man. They saw their father beating their mother. So they grow up misled that men must beat women. So even if they come across a gentleman, they call him a simp. You don't beat women. There is something, you must be emasculated. You're a sissy. They want to fall for men who are as violent as their father was.
Because that's all they know.
So the women get married to abusive men, and then the men may marry women and abuse them. But then number 3, by God's grace, there may come from that home somebody who says, well, I may have grown up in that environment, but that's not who I am. I will self-differentiate.
So the self-differentiation is very critical.
Yes.
And in you becoming your own individual.
It begins up here.
Right.
That I don't have to follow that way. And they end up saying then, I will fix the mess in the home. And partly, unbeknownst to me, my desire to work with couples, even ending up doing one of my masters is in marriage and family therapy, was to try and correct this menace in society.
Right.
Because there is a third possibility that somebody grows up in that home and becomes a family therapist.
Right.
Yes.
And that we're going to end up with that eventually, because we need to come up with how you did that, and and how you've become so impactful in society. We're going to end up doing that. So here you are, Pastor Andrew, with a dysfunctional background. There's abuse in the home. There's trauma. You're traumatized.
Lots of trauma.
And even your kids.
To this day, I don't like hearing the noise of chaos, like furniture falling down. I don't like being shouted at. You want me to walk away from you forever? Shout at me. I can't stand it. So I don't shout at you, and you also don't shout at me.
Just leave me.
Yeah.
So because it gives you it reminds you, it takes you back.
Yes.
What are the triggers?
So if, for example, I hear somebody yelling, it may easily remind me of that. Yeah. In fact, when I see a couple fighting, I want to join the fray, which might be troublesome in itself.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time, if I could just say this for 1 minute.
Right.
So me and some of my young friends who grew up in violent homes, seeing our mothers being beaten up, I remember joining a particular neighborhood, and a group of young men in that neighborhood had said, we are tired of mothers being beaten. They were young, teenagers. They said, in this neighborhood, no man beats his wife. And I joined the group.
Yeah.
They said, if we hear you beating your wife, we come and tell you,
coming
Buddha,
for you.
watch a vita.
Yeah.
If you don't stop, we join the fray and beat you up.
Yeah.
And we were serious. Wow. Now we are born again. I remember one time we were going for a kesha.
Yeah.
And while we are in the matatu heading towards the kesha, what do we see by the roadside? A man beating his wife, broad daylight, and she's carrying a baby.
Why do people watch?
She's carrying a baby on her back, and nobody's helping.
Why do people watch this?
So all of us, we go to factory settings.
Yeah.
Because when you see a woman being beaten,
It's
you
your
remember
mother.
mommy being beaten.
It's you remember.
Do you know I commandeered the matatu?
Hey.
I told the driver, stop. He's like, where? There's no... I told him, stop. The lion in me was coming out to defend my mother's image. Before the matatu could screech to a halt, I'd opened the door and I was out running. Me and my friends. All of us had one common denominator.
To go and
our
finish
mothers
this man.
had been beaten up, and now
It's
we are
enough.
going... Yeah, in our minds,
Yeah.
we are saving our mothers. By the time we're getting there, ready to unleash flying kick.
Yeah.
You know the kick you send while in the air. The woman goes, achanani na ye, achanani na ye, makosa ni yangu, makosa ni yangu, makosa ni yangu. You know the Stockholm syndrome? where you actually become emotional towards your kidnapper, your abductor. So there are women in abusive relationships, but they really are protective about their abuser.
What?
He said, achana naye, makosa ni yangu. It's emotional abuse.
Stop it.
Yeah. We had nothing else
They
to
have
do.
accommodated the emotional abuse.
Yes.
They have lived with it. They are
People
okay.
who are kidnapped and held hostage, over time, they end up being emotionally intimate with the abductor.
Stop.
Unbeknownst to them.
What?
It's part of the manipulation. So when you see women in relationships, abusive relationships for 20 years, don't judge them.
Their mechanism
Their
is
psyche
that
has
they have
been
accepted
rewired.
it.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
It's supposed
so
to be
actually,
that way.
when they get a man that would love them, they look at him like he has no idea what
They
he's
will
doing.
start causing trouble. But you see, as I was about to learn later on, for my family of origin, FOO, there was a mix of contributing issues. My father had been raised up in a dysfunctional, violent home, so he was projecting what he had known growing up.
Right.
My mother also had some psychological issues. And I remember wondering, were they caused by my father's beatings? Or did they precede my father's beatings? Are they what messed up my parents' marriage?
Right.
And I remember as a teenager crying hot tears. I used to pray, God, reconcile my parents. I used to pray hot tears in my bed as a teenager. And I would tell my mother, I'm praying that God reconciles you guys. And my mother would, just laugh it off.
Right.
But I really meant it.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, God was doing something better than reconciling my parents. He never reconciled my parents, but he gave me a burden to reconcile other families and couples. To this day, I can walk for 500 kilometers at my own expense just to reconcile a family. Because I'm thinking about the kids in that home and what they are going through. So up until my mom died some 2 years ago, my dad now, in his 70s, I remember him going to visit my mom. Now he has mellowed, he wants to right his wrong. But my mom still doesn't want reconciliation. So I remember
because
my dad.
She was angry.
Yeah.
I saw that with my mother as well. My mother-in-law. I saw that with her. After so much abuse.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to come and reconcile.
Women
She's
can
like,
endure, but they can get to a place where they
when
can't
a
take it
woman
anymore.
gives up,
When she says it's a wrap,
you're in trouble.
It's a wrap.
It's a real wrap.
So my dad has seen his mistake. Now he wants to come back. And I remember he walked into the sitting room. Now he's going to visit. The girl he eloped with. My mom enters the sitting room with a stone. Yereno. Pass this way. This is the way. Walk in it.
Tells him.
Yes. And creates chaos. So my dad is calling me from wherever I am. Please come and don't stay. Don't be long.
Yeah.
So I saw drama till the end. I don't know how it feels like for parents to sit
together
and hold hands. So now I have a family of my own, and my kids will be saying, you guys telling me and their mother, you keep going out, just the two of you for dinner. And I'm like, do you know how I wish I saw that? I would pay money
to see that. So you get circumcised as a young man.
As a young man.
You were what, 13, 14?
So what happened was, back in the day, after you cleared class 8,
right,
is about the time when you go for that initiation ritual.
Yeah.
So I came from a community that is very strict about that procedure.
Right.
It is one of the hallmarks of life, milestones of life. Besides being born, now being circumcised is another major thing.
It's a big
now
thing.
Besides marrying, it's a major thing.
Right.
It's a huge step.
So it's a whole ritual.
Yeah.
And it's a whole thing.
And that's why they may not do it.
That you can't do away with.
Yeah. That's why they may not do it when you're 8 days old like the Jews would do. So you have to be old enough so you're taught your cultural secrets, your cultural ways of life.
Right.
So that is what happened, and it was another turning point in my life.
So I want us to talk about that turning point of now you've been like initiated into something else.
Yeah. So I get born again, but soon after that, now it's my time to go through the initiation. So my parents didn't take me through that.
Yeah.
It's the people that I was handed over to that took me through that.
So you handed over to people.
Yes, because now my dad is educated, he does
Right.
not believe in those things.
Yeah.
So, but the people I was handed over to
Yeah.
my relatives
Yeah.
are the ones now that took me through that.
Right.
And it was something that I would never want anyone to go through, especially now that I'm a Christian,
Yeah.
because it bordered occultic activities.
With the rituals, the things you're told to say
Taking
and do.
oaths, making vows,
Yeah.
and the things, the immorality they would introduce you to. Because if I would just back up a little bit,
Yeah.
one of the names they would call you is that the initiate of the devil. So you'd make vows saying, I'm an initiate of the devil, and you'd make some declarations. So it was very diabolical.
Wow.
So I remember now, after finishing the initiation period,
Yeah.
one of the things you were taught is that you are unclean and you must go cleanse yourself.
How do you cleanse yourself now?
By sleeping with a woman you will never sleep with again.
That is cleansing.
So you can imagine a young Andrew being told you're now unclean. I'm being indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And you would easily believe
Yeah.
you are unclean,
Yeah.
and the only way to cleanse yourself
Is do this.
look for a woman you'll never sleep with again, sleep with them, and you will have cleansed yourself.
Right.
That's how HIV has spread in some communities. That's how the lifestyle of polygamy has been inculcated in many people's lives.
Yeah.
Because imagine that other woman is somebody's daughter,
Yes.
is somebody's child.
But you're told, go and cleanse yourself.
Go cleanse yourself. And those are some of the things we had to do.
Yeah.
Very diabolical.
Yeah.
And now I had to run to Christ to cleanse my mind,
Yeah.
to cleanse my thinking,
Yeah.
to change my view
Yeah.
of women.
Right.
By the time I was meeting you, many years
We
later,
are coming to that. That one is a very, we are still far. We are walking the journey. We are coming to our
women
meeting.
had been objectified in my mind.
By that ritualistic.
So you're not ready
deed
to take commands or instructions from a woman.
because who are there again.
Yeah.
So now you're here, you get born again. Do you
Yes.
get born again in that season?
So I get born again just before the initiation
Yes.
period. So I sort of backslide because of what I've been taken through.
Of course.
But then I rededicate my life some months after that. And this time I really meant it.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, I would walk around the school compound and I would hear the Christian Union worshiping, and I could feel a pull in my heart, being pulled. It was
Towards.
so divine. Nobody's witnessing to me. Eventually, I couldn't hide it anymore.
Yeah.
And I had to go look for a Christian to come lead me to the Lord. So I remember getting one young man. I told him, can you lead me to the Lord?
You asked him to.
Yeah, he was so timid. He took me to one of the farthest classrooms in class. The school had like 100 acres compound, many students. So we hid behind a door and he led me to the Lord and ended up becoming his pastor in the future. He led me to the Lord.
God.
And now there was no turning back.
Yeah. So now you're born again. Now
I'm born again. So I did not know that I was about to meet with a strange woman that would be used of the devil to try and mess up my life completely. But God saved me from that grip of the enemy, and he changed my life forever.
So how did you meet up with the strange woman, and what happened? Because I know you are very strong when it comes to the strange woman. So I need you to tell us like how you met up with her and what became of that relationship. Like, how far did it go and stuff like that? Because you're helping a young man who is born again perhaps or not. Right?
Yeah.
Their desire is to walk with God.
Yes.
But there's this hindrance or habit or where they are coming from. Say you're coming from a dysfunction.
Yes.
Then you've met up with this person and they are redirecting your steps and you think it's probably to a right place.
Yes.
And that becomes a thing to fall back on.
It's a trap.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
So you need to understand as we begin that the strange woman is actually a spirit. The author of Proverbs, who first wrote about the strange woman, was a man. So naturally, he would refer to the opposite gender.
Yeah.
But they are also strange men.
Yeah.
But Proverbs 2:16 mentions the strange woman.
Right.
But if you read down there, you will find there are even strange men. Basically, the strange woman is a spirit of sexual immorality. It is set against people with a great destiny to mess them up.
Yeah.
You need to know that immorality is not as innocent or as thrilling as it appears to be.
Yeah.
It's a weapon of the enemy.
Yeah.
If I would just give a quick example
Yes,
here.
please.
If, for example, the Kenyan government was confronted by protesters on the streets.
Yeah.
Let's begin with pickpockets on the streets.
Yeah.
Maybe they would send askari wa kanjo, your regular police man, not so. But if there were protesters threatening the peace and quiet of the city, then maybe they would send GSU,
The army.
the army, to disperse the protesters, not so. But if the country was confronted by an external aggressor, like if a neighboring country said that they will invade Kenya, that's when the Kenyan government rolls out its arsenal, its war machinery.
All of it.
The tanks.
All the machinery.
From Nakuru, the jets from Nanyuki, to go defend
everything,
our borders. Similarly, when the devil wants to mess up simple people, he may keep you down with gossip, he may keep you down with anger and malice and bitterness. But when it is strange men, when it is strong men rather, and strong women, he uses the spirit of the strange woman. That's why Proverbs 7:26 says, that's why Proverbs 7:26 says, she has cast down many wounded, and all of them were strong men. They all had a common denominator.
She has reduced them to a crust of bread.
Proverbs 6:26, that by means of a harlot, a man is reduced to a crust of bread. So anytime you see a strange woman, their agenda is to reduce you.
To zero.
Not to give you a thrill. Not to make you walk. Not to make you enjoy life. The agenda is one, to reduce you.
And the enemy, and oh my God, I'm so happy we are talking about this. The enemy has one agenda, to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yes.
And that's what he's doing, and he's not about to change.
And he starts by stealing. In fact, the Bible says he came to steal. So the first thing is to take you from that church fellowship, to take you from that life of consecration, to steal you.
From those friends
when you're stolen,
that are godly,
now he can kill and destroy.
Directing you towards the right path. Steal you. So tell us what happened to you particularly as Andrew.
So I finished high school. I'm born again. Holy Ghost filled.
You want Jesus.
I'm so serious about God. I got my mind made up. And Goodbye World. You know those songs we used to sing. Powerful songs.
Goodbye world.
Yes.
I stay no longer with you. Goodbye pleasures of sin. I stay no longer with you. I made up my mind to go God's way the rest of my life.
Watch this.
I've made up my mind to go God's way the rest of my life.
So I've made up my mind that I won't go back. I'm serious about God. But you need to know, people who are serious about God are number one targets of the strange woman. The bullseye is on you. The devil's machinery is aimed on you.
He has removed everything.
She has cast down many wounded, and all of them were strong men. So she sees a strong man, she wants to cast him down and wound him. Revelation chapter number 2 calls that spirit Jezebel, that teaches servants of God to commit sexual immorality. So you are serving God, busy serving God, but you are taught. It's a syllabus with module 1, module 2, module 3. Yes. Until you get taught proper to commit sexual immorality. That is why God was so angry with Jezebel. He said, I will cast her and her children to a sick bed. That's why the Bible would say through Paul that do not defraud one another in this matter. Because God is the avenger of all such. That whoever defiles the temple, God will destroy. Yes. That woman that you see in church, don't mess up with her. She's the temple of the Holy Ghost.
Leave her alone.
Yes. So eventually, what happened was I finished high school, born again, Holy Ghost filled, and I'm ready to go to uni. I've already been called to join Daystar University. I want to do journalism. I always wanted to do journalism, whether in the print media or electronic media. I loved writing. I love writing to this day. And I thought that I would either be in broadcasting or in writing, news. So I was called to Daystar University to join. I've already packed up my belongings and I've already told my church, my local church, Kwaheri, I'm going to Daystar University. I was in the worship team.
Oh, hello.
Mom, I've been in the worship team. Would even sing in the choir in crusades, and I was totally sold out to Jesus. Leading people to the Lord on the highways and byways. Yes. So unfortunately, when I'm about to leave, my dad says, no. You're not going to study journalism. said, by the way, I've never seen your article in the newspaper.
He told you, your father deserves a gold medal.
He's a wonderful man. I love my dad this
He
day.
told you.
Yeah.
He
I've
told
never seen your article in the newspaper. Yeah. So what are you going to do there? He told me, you have to go do accounts. Because 30 years ago, the ritual was after high school,
accounts,
you have to
if
do
you're
accounts.
a man.
Yes.
If you're a woman, secretarial.
Yeah. So you can
Those
count
two.
money and have a job and, you know. So accounting, I had never thought about doing accounts.
Right.
Do you know I almost became suicidal? I struggled with suicidal ideation.
What?
Yeah.
This
is my dream.
Yeah.
I remember coming to Nairobi as a much younger person,
Yeah.
and I would look at the Nation Center and I would imagine my car parked there. I'm an editor. Now all that dream is being flushed down the toilet. That I cannot
The
do.
bubble is just psh.
Wow. So I remember struggling with suicidal ideation. And I was actually traumatized by that experience.
Wow.
Who do I go to? Now there are missionaries that have come into town, and they are going to place. They're singing powerfully, preaching loudly. And I had a friend in that particular church who was a dentist. And what really helped me as a young man was that I had much older friends.
Right.
So, but it was through that older friend that I met older women.
Yeah.
So I remember one of those older women prophesied to me. She had a deep husky voice. You know, to this day, you don't impress me with a deep husky voice. And because she was a singer. And you know the way singers can develop a deep husky voice. And then she was already by that time singing on TV, had done albums, and she had a name. She even prophesied to me and told me how God was going to use me to minister to young people and they'll get transformed. Some of those prophecies came to pass. So you cannot impress me today by prophecy. You cannot impress me today by husky deep voice and all those things. Because after all is said and done, there could be a crack in your armor through which you have allowed a strange spirit to enter you. And you are now being used by the devil to mess up the lives of young people. So you need to know that the fastest way to spread spirits in the occult is through sexual immorality. Similarly, in a church setting, when the devil wants to steal the revival and mess up destinies, he sets a spirit of immorality loose.
Sexual immorality.
And that's why you must be on the lookout. Whether you think you're anointed, you're a preacher, you're a singer, because if you let down your guard, the devil can start using you and operating through you to spread that spirit.
To mess up with so many. And then unfortunately, also what I've seen is that when you hit your head, like your shoulders, like you can never. It can never happen. It can never be you. Let me tell you, you're in trouble.
I remember you taught me that many years ago, and it has really kept me. That never beat your chest and say never me. So we should all be on the lookout.
Be aware.
The Bible says, having done all things to stand, stand therefore.
Somebody said, body not be wood. That this body is not wood. This body is real and it's flesh and blood. And so when you hit on your shoulders and your chest, that I can never do that, I can never be me. Oh my gosh, these guys, you fall like that. Kwani uko na kifafa. Let me tell you, you better not hit because it's not about our strength.
Some of the most notable people that fell to the strange woman in the Bible were actually good moral people. Like you'd imagine how Abraham went through that, how Judah went through that, how David went through that, how Solomon went through
Powerful
that.
men.
A host of people in the Bible.
Powerful, strong men.
And you need to understand the spiritual angle of the strange woman. In the old Canaanite religion, harlots were also priestesses at the same time. And priestesses were harlots. That you would enter into a Canaanite temple and sleep with the priestess as a sacrifice to their gods.
Can you imagine?
So you do not know that when you peel the upper layer of adultery, what is left staring back at you is idolatry. Yes. Underneath adultery is idolatry. So God says, do not be sexually immoral, but you're telling God, who are you? I'm my own God. You're worshiping yourself. And that is why Rahab, the harlot in Jericho, was actually a priestess in Jericho. Her house was actually exalted. She was living on top of the wall. When you look at Tamar, who
Yeah.
waylaid Judah and slept with Judah, her
And
father-in-law,
got twins.
she dressed herself like a Canaanite priestess. By the way, when you begin to be sexually immoral,
Yeah.
you've become spiritual. Spiritual can neither be negative or positive.
Or positive.
Sexual immorality is spiritual.
Yeah.
Deep spiritual.
And it can take you further than you wanted to go.
Yes. And you're spreading spirits.
Yeah.
And that's why you must be very much on the guard.
Right.
So I'm going through this difficult time.
And this woman is prophesying and telling you things that are powerful.
But what I don't know is that she's doubling up. She's doubling up as a singer,
Yeah.
as a preacher, but the devil is also using her to make young men fall down.
So talk to us now.
So she starts prophesying to me. So naturally, you gravitate towards spiritual people
And
when
you're
you're a young
vulnerable
man. And I'm
at
vulnerable.
this point.
I'm really actually battling suicidal ideation.
Because even your father has really made you get so upset
Yeah.
because of like killing your dream.
Yes. So one day, she ambushes me and she's all over me. And I fall into sin. And I remember that particular day was a Saturday night. Remember Sunday, I'm going to stand at the altar
Yeah.
in the worship team. I was not the worship leader, but I was in the
But
worship
you're in the
team.
worship team. Yeah.
And I was genuinely born again.
Yeah.
And this was an ambush.
Yeah.
It was a complete ambush.
Yeah.
I didn't envisage
Envision.
it. I envisaged it. I
Yeah.
didn't look forward for it. I didn't want it.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah.
And the following day I go to church. I'm feeling so guilty. And I'm imagining that everybody can see what happened last
What you
night.
did. Yeah.
Because since I got born again,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done this.
Yeah.
This is not me. Since I gave my life to Christ from my heart.
You changed.
This has not happened.
Yeah.
I had changed forever. And I said, after the service, I'm going to go meet her because I know about the power of agreement. I'm going to meet her in town. We join hands together and ask God for forgiveness. You know I'm a young man. We met when I was 19. So in my naivety, I'm thinking you mess up with somebody, both of you hold hands, you ask God for
You
forgiveness
repent.
from your heart.
Yeah.
But that's not the way they do it out there.
I hope you wrote notes. This is amazing. This is all the time we had for you today, but guess what? We continue next week, same time. Remember to tune in and remember to share. Remember to comment. Also, like and subscribe. Subscribe. Invite other people to subscribe with you so that they can also get edified by Woman Without Limits. See you.
So I had spoken to older, elderly people
Yeah.
and had prayed up. Then I asked my dad, give me money, I go to Nairobi. Thankfully, my dad never asked me what you're going to do. He just gave me all the money I needed.
What?
Wow. I bought nice clothes.
To wear or to give?
To wear so that I can go launch my manifesto. I remember buying a beautiful denim shirt.
Yeah.
White. To contrast my, because I reckoned if I wore a black shirt, you wouldn't tell where the shirt ends and where my skin begins. So I had to make sure, nice, well ironed.
Understand.
I went to Westlands
Yeah.
and I bought 21 rose flowers
21.
for each of her 21 years
Oh, Lord.
that she had been alive.
I taught you all these
To propose to
mysteries.
her.
Eh,
And I remember we went to Nando's. Nando's had just opened.
Yeah.
The intersection of Moi Avenue and I don't know what street that was, right there near Hilton.
Yeah.
See, if you can't go to Hilton, don't go very far. So it was right next to Hilton.